Hello, hello. No idea why it's open on that browser. Let me go to here. There we go. Right, so let me. Yes, people. So today we're going to talk about the one thing that is so important that you always overlook, which is how to bounce back when you fall off and the real way to reset your mind, energy, and discipline fast. So let's get straight into this. There we go. So the promise for this video is by the end of this video, you will know how to stop letting bad days spiral into bad weeks, and you will learn how to slow down, recalibrate, and build back momentum, whether it's a tough morning or a rough week. Let's understand why. And also you must understand, and you will by the end of this video, that falling off doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Right, so get my foot up. Got my charger wrapped around my foot. Right. Okay, so why should you listen to me? I say this all the time, but you're probably thinking, if you've never seen my videos, who is this shiny headed guy on my camera? Can I make this bigger? I can. Look at that. Right, it kind of takes up a bit of space. Whereas I've fallen off more times than I can count. Truly. So many times, and I've had low days, I've had bad days, I've had relapse moments, I've had full resets. All of the spectrum. Everything. Right, but every time I studied the pattern, I reflected, I collected data on my emotions, and that's what led to creating the Undeniable Project. You can see here, I briefly showed it here. There we go, the Undeniable Project. Right, so that's what led me to creating the Undeniable Project, which isn't just coaching, it's a system that rebuilds your discipline through reflection, identity, and momentum, not just pressure that you're putting on yourself. And then now, even when I fall, I know exactly how to stand back up. You see here, me all locked in, working hard, looking good. Me build a website here. Why do I look so pale? Who knows? Sign of wealth. Right, next slide. There we go. So the moment you slip, why is this hand here? We'll get to that in a second. I need to make this smaller actually. Right, so when you fall off, or at least for me personally, anger comes first. I feel annoyed. Why have I fallen off again? Fuck. How has this happened again? And you start telling yourself stories, and you have frustration, self-doubt, guilt, all these ugly emotions, and they keep arising, they keep filling your head. But the truth is, falling off never erases progress. That's why this is here. Let me finish this and we'll get into that. It just reveals where you stop paying attention. It's data. It helps you no, I'm a fuck up, but this is where I stopped paying attention. This is where it went bad. You are not starting over, you are resuming with better awareness and data that you lacked before. Why is this hand here? If I'm a boxer and I throw a really shit punch, right? And I'm offline. Don't know if that's going to affect me. Hopefully, there you go. I'm back online. That was fast, wasn't it? But if I'm a boxer and I throw a really bad punch and I land with this knuckle instead of this one, which I meant to, and I land with this and I break my hand and my hand's all fucked. Look at that. That's my hand. Can't use my hand. What's going to happen now is I'm going to have data, I'm going to have awareness of, okay, now I know really don't hit my pinkies when I punch a bag. Now I really know this is why it's so important to hit with these two knuckles. When I get back to boxing and my hand's better, I'm still going to know how to hit. I'm still going to know how to do correct footwork, proper head movement. I'm not going to have lost all of that. But now I'm going to take some time off, and my hand's going to repair, and I'm going to go back with data and awareness as to what happened before, where my fuck up was. So it gives you data, it gives you the ability to reflect. So next one. All right. Let me get this. Right, so self-compassion, how to talk to yourself. Look at this, quite frankly, no offense to him, ugly child here eating the chocolate. You wouldn't scream in a child's face for making a mistake. Say this is your chocolate. You really wanted your chocolate. And this is your little ugly baby here, and he ate your chocolate. You're not going to go, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're so... No, you're going to say, you little man, you're going to slow down. You can't eat my chocolate because that's mine and I bought it, and your dad doesn't often eat chocolate, so, we can't do that again. And then you move forward. You don't shout at them. So why do you do it to yourself? It makes no sense. When I talk to myself like that, I'm calm, I'm firm, I'm compassionate with myself. I get back to my higher frequency so much faster because I'm not trying to beat myself into submission. I'm not trying to talk shit on myself to force myself to be better. No, I'm human. I understand that. I'm not a robot, and neither are you. So why are you talking to yourself like you are? Like you're gonna be perfect all the time, because you're not. If you are, you're not perfect. You're a liar. The voice in your head sets the pace of your recovery. The way you talk to yourself shows to yourself just how fast you're going to recover. If you talk to yourself, that's okay. Let's get back on it tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to get back on it. If you say, oh, what the fuck's wrong with you tomorrow? Oh, you need to fucking fix this. And you might wake up tomorrow and you might think, oh, I don't actually want to do that. So how you talk to yourself matters so much more than you could ever think. Let's go here. Right, so why are you there? You're annoying me. There we go. So, catching yourself spiraling. You know you're spiraling when your self-talk changes tone. Or for me personally anyway, when you start rejecting everything that would help you, when you feed the thoughts instead of observing them, that is your turning point. That is when awareness becomes power again. Right? Because this is so important to catch yourself spiraling. Why is this here? Jekyll and Hyde. You know, you must be able to understand, okay, this is not me. This is just me starting to spiral, because when you're aware, you can prevent it. And when you can prevent it, or when you can collapse the timeline from when you start spiraling to when you finish and you get back on, the faster you collapse that timeline, the more progress you're going to make over a long enough time frame. Right, next one. Reset framework. Slow down. Analyze. Act. If you are a high performer, I'm sure many of you watching this are, you have the brain of a Ferrari. It's doing so much. It's moving so fast. If there was something wrong in the car, say you're driving, you're going so fast, and you hear clunk, clunk, and really loud bang, what's going to happen? Are you going to keep going at 100 miles an hour hoping something fixes? No. You're going to slow down. You may even stop the car. You may analyze what's going on. Check under the hood. Check under the car. And then act with the information you've got from analysing the car, because you've slowed down. You can't slow down. No, you can't analyse if you don't slow down. So slow your breathing, slow your thoughts, and analyse. Ask yourself, what is actually going on here? You know, what is the problem? Why am I feeling this way? Why are these thoughts occurring? That is how you get data to then understand what is causing you to feel this way. When you understand, it's important you to find one small action that moves you forward. One thing. One small thing. We'll get into this more in the next slide. But after you've collected that data, you can then act. Okay, so if my Ferrari's fucked, and I've looked under the car and everything's fine, I've looked in the hood, the engine's too hot. I know nothing about cars, albeit, but I might pour some water over the engine. I may just leave the hood open up for a little bit and just let the engine cool down. That's one small action. It may not fix the car if the car's completely broken, but it will get me closer to the car being fixed. You cannot think your way out of a low state. You have to act your way out, which is why you must slow down, reflect, and then act. So, pattern recognition. What turns days around? A bad day is not a bad life, but it's very easy to feel that way when nothing's going the way you want it to go. You need to understand you do not need to win the whole day, just one small part of it. When you win one small section of your day, it starts to feel easier to win the rest, and then win the week, and then win the month. But if your room's messy, clean one corner. If your head's messy, write one paragraph. If you haven't been to the gym in months, do 20 push-ups. I fell off a few weeks back. I moved here to Vietnam. I stopped going to gym completely. I'm a fucking unit, if you didn't know, right? But what I didn't say to myself, damn, I need to get back into my 7-day bodybuilder split. I said, no, okay, I'm going to start off by doing 50 push-ups a day. Then 100 push-ups a day. Then I started doing a small workout routine again. And I've added more and more and more, right? Small actions and small wins make you want to achieve bigger wins. This here, right, E equals mq squared, because this is the formula to remember. If there's one thing you remember in this video, it's this. Write it down. You know, draw it on your face. Draw it into your wall. Put it in your typewriter. I don't care. Put this down. Small wins stack identity, right? Small little actions like this. So this, if you clean one corner of your messy room, it's going to stack the identity of I'm not someone with a messy room. If you have the identity of I'm not someone with a messy room, you'll clean the rest of your room. So that identity then builds momentum. And if you've built the rest of your room, you think, oh, you know what? No, if you've cleaned, sorry, been a long day. If you clean the rest of your room, you then think to yourself, oh, hang on, well, my room's clean now. So now I trust myself to keep it clean because I'm someone who does that. And if you believe truly through enough self-trust that, you know, I can always keep my room clean, your room will always be clean. All because you tidied one corner because your room is messy. This goes for everything in life. If you have complete, utter self-belief, you can do anything. If someone said to you, if you show up for yourself every day for 15 hours a day, you're going to earn no money for 20 years, then you're going to earn 100 million a year. Would you show up? Because I know I would. Because you'd have complete self-trust and complete self-belief. And once more, if we reverse engineer this, relentless action, always doing the stuff you need to do, that comes from self-trust. No, that comes from self-belief. Self-belief comes from self-trust. Self-trust comes from momentum. Momentum comes from identity. Identity comes from small wins. This is why it's so important to do one small thing. So this formula here, this will get you so far in life. Right, so that was pattern recognition. Next one. Common mistakes people make. Trying to fix everything at once. You do not need a perfect comeback. You just need a real one. Don't rush to rebuild your old routine overnight or an even better one. Slow down. Small wins. If you go from nothing to wake up at 5 a.m, 10k run, meal prep, deep work, you will burn out again and you'll hate yourself for it. You'll start to internalize the ugly feelings again. So start small, stay consistent, because the goal is not speed, it is stability. Look at this. Or if this is you up here. Say this is a month, right? Both of these are a month. And this is you up here, doing everything you need to do. 5k runs every day, you're eating healthy all the time, you're doing no bad habits. But then this is you, a few days later. You know, you're watching adult content, maybe you're smoking weed, you're eating shit food. Oh, you're back up here again 3 days later. And it's up, down, up, down, up, down. Over a long enough time frame, what's going to get you further? This or small stuff. Little ups and downs, because over a long enough time frame, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And suddenly, you are exactly who you wanted to be all along. Right, so rebuilding self-trust, remembering who you are. This was Mike Tyson after he lost to Jake Paul. Do you think Mike Tyson after that loss had his ego hurt? I do. I think his ego was definitely hurt. However, do you think Mike Tyson sat there and said to himself, I can't do this. I'm not a good boxer. I'm terrible at what I do. No. Mike Tyson would knock you out. Mike Tyson would knock me out. You're not starting from scratch when you fall off or when you lose. Because you've already built the discipline that got you here. You've already built the strength that got you here. The skill set. Every past comeback is proof you can do it again. And even if you fall hard, you still have the reference points. The reference points, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. Which, by the way, is all the data you need to feel reassured that you can rebuild confidently. Which is why the Undeniable Project, the business of mine, it's what we teach at our core. Reflection, repetition, realignment is everything. Everything you could ever need to constantly get back on the horse. To constantly rebuild that discipline again. Because you have that reference point. You know, I've done this before. Because I held myself accountable for a long enough time period before. I've done this amount of training before. This amount of hard work before. That's what we do. But that's what you need to do in your life as well. Next one. Right, so the final reminder is you may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. That was by Margaret Thatcher. It's been a long day. Once more. Sue me. Right, so did any of you ride a bike for the first time and instantly you get on the pedal bike and you can ride it flawlessly? No, because I didn't. I couldn't. So why would it be different for anything else in life? When I was trying to quit smoking weed, right now, it's been the longest time that I've not been smoking weed, right? When I was trying to quit, you know how many times I quit and I failed? You know how many times I've tried to quit a bad habit and I failed? You have to fight this battle over and over and over again. But so many people have it misconstrued. They think, no, I need to, from day one of deciding to work really hard, or day one of deciding to quit this bad habit, I'm never going to do it again. But these unrealistic expectations you put on yourself force you into that negative feedback loop we talked about previously, where you're talking bad on yourself, where you're almost resenting yourself. So you must understand, okay, I'm going to have to win this battle once, and then I'm going to win it again, and again, and again, and again. And no matter how many times I fall off, or I succumb to the bad habit, or I don't do the good habits, I know that I'm going to keep getting up, and I'm going to keep getting up. And eventually, over a long enough time frame, it'll be second nature. It'll be who I am. So understand, you're not going to fight these battles once. You're going to keep fighting them over and over and over again. So your next move, next one. Final lesson. The final lesson is the difference between stuck and resilient. Men who stay stuck avoid reflecting. They avoid reviewing exactly what is going wrong. But the men who rise and the men who do so far in life and are superior, they ask themselves consistently, why? Why is this happening? You know, what thoughts and feelings are arising? Once more, every time you fall and reflect, you gain power. Every time you ignore it, you lose clarity that you could have gained otherwise. And once more, it's like in chess, if you're constantly losing, you know, in all fairness, terrible example, I know fuck all about chess, right? But if I use something I know, boxing, if you're constantly getting hit with a right hook in the face over and over again, maybe you should reflect and think, why is that happening? Am I throwing a jab and dropping my hand? You know, am I trying to slip and I'm not covering myself properly? Who knows? But you don't know unless you reflect. So it's not about perfection, it's about pattern recognition. Because once you understand your pattern, you control it. Which once more, why it's so important what we do, because we at the Undeniable Project, we teach you exactly time and time again, okay, this is how you spot the pattern, this is what you do with the pattern, this is what we're going to do from here on out, right? So your next move, there's going to be a free guide in the description. This guide will help you start fixing your life and building unstoppable momentum, as I did. I changed a lot in my period of time. Also, if any of you care to, obviously you can have a little look at the website here, it tells you about what we do. Whatever else, if you want to, you can book a free strategy call. I'll hop on call with you personally and we'll help build out a plan that's actually going to help you moving forward in life. But either way, I hope you gain something valuable from this video. And understand that no matter what happens in life, you never lose. You never lose unless you quit. You can only lose in life and you can only fail if you quit. You are just temporarily taking a breather to reflect on the data you've got from what happened previously when you did fall off. Alright, so remember that, be kinder to yourself, and fucking crush it. Absolutely crush it. Wait,